Find Your Why Foundation Why's question of the day, where we answer questions from the Find Your Why Foundation, either the lovely wise women in the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge or the wise men of the Man Cave. And so tonight I'm here, Dr. Cheryl Chapman, with the amazing...
Me! It's Dr. Marion Bevington at your service.
Yes. I'm in what seems to be a reconstructed museum room from the 1950s here down in Kent. And Marion, you've been at Glastonbury, haven't you?
I've just got back from Glastonbury, yes, probably, well, less than 24 hours ago. I had a fabulous weekend. I even went up the Tor. The Tor is that, like, it's like a little chapel-y thing on a hill. It's just a square thing. It's very, it's very sacred, and it's got a really lovely old story that goes with it. And apparently St. Patrick was there, so we had a jig.
Oh, really? Well, St. Patrick was there today?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
One of those yesterdays, probably about 500 years ago, but it was definitely a yesterday.
Oh, fabulous. So the question for today is... is... why don't I like selling my services or products? So this is obviously a question that's been raised by one of the wise women or one of the wise men. So why don't I like selling my products and services? So I think this was specifically around, I don't mind selling somebody else's products or services, but when it comes to selling myself or even my products or my services, I get this like real, I don't know what to say. So what's have you experienced this before, Marion? I'll let you go first.
Me? No. Because I've never sold any. No, it's not true. Well, I think for me, the reason that this happens to me is that when I put a value on my time, myself, my products, my services, I judge what that value is. And when it's difficult, the reason it's difficult is because I'm trying to imagine what the other person needs and how I can fulfill their needs. And yet, if it was somebody else's product or service, then I know the price. I've been told the price. Mm-hmm. It's not mine, so I don't have a choice over the price. It's up to me whether or not I want to get involved in selling or sharing or helping people to sell their products or services. And so it's easy because you know the price. And it's the same with haggling for me. Like if I go to a place where you're supposed to haggle, you go, how much do you want to pay? And I'll be saying, well, how much is it? And they're like, no, how much do you want to pay? And I'm like, no, how much is it? Because if you tell me the price and I want it, then often I'll pay. And it's not because of the price. It's because I want the thing and I just want to know how much it is. So when I'm selling other people's stuff, this is the price. And if you want it or not, you can buy it. But when it's my stuff, because I'm so invested in it and because I control the price, then suddenly I've got all these choices. And the conversation we had the other day about why don't I know what I want, and often, or why doesn't everybody know what they want? And it's because we've got this overwhelm. We've got too much information. And so for me, it kind of ties into that aspect as well of too much information, too many choices, don't know which one to make, and you just end up a little bit lost, really.
Yeah. Good evening, Jill. Jill's joining us, Jill Barham. Evening all. Sounds like she's turned into a little bit of an official copper. You on it? There. Good evening, Jill. Hope you are well. So we're talking about why is it that I can't sell my own products or my services? So Maz has just explained, if you just joined us with Jill, and I know we've got a couple of other people online, so give us hearts, let us know that you're there, or give us smiley faces or miserable faces. Just react, please, so we know we're not speaking to just Jill, Dr. Jill Barham, and Dr. Marion Bevington, and Dr. Cheryl Chapman. Well, it's little doctor's club, isn't it? We can all do this. So we're talking about why you can't sell your own products and your own services. Judith Wright joined us. Hello, Judith. How are you, lovely? I think it comes in a couple of guises. But it was interesting because I've been to a few events recently, and at one event recently, I was talking to the person after the event, and this person invited me to give some feedback, which of course I love giving feedback, but only when invited. That's the best policy for me. So if you've ever done a presentation and you want me to give you some feedback, you have to invite me, because I have to wait for the invitation. Because that's my strategy, by the way. If anybody's thinking, what on earth is she on about now? It's a genetic blueprinting that we do. And my strategy in my type, which has been an architect, is that I should wait for the invitation. So anyway, this person invited me to give some feedback, and I did. And I said, I just wanted to check, were you actually selling something? And if you were, what was it? Was it like another course? Was it a done-for-you service? Was it one-on-one mentoring? Because I wasn't really quite sure. And this person said, oh, well, actually, no, I didn't want to say anything because, I felt like a bit, I did actually have this slide saying that I offer one-to-one services, but I took it out because I just felt a little bit nervous really about that. I didn't really feel if it was the right thing to do because, people had attended this course and they were expecting value. And I said, well, we got a lot of value, but what we didn't get was the clarification on whether or not it would be possible to go any further with you. So I said, so just so you know, from your side, you felt a bit awkward. And from my side, I then felt a bit awkward because I didn't know whether or not I could contact you and say, can you help me? Do you know what I mean? So the problem with that situation, as we were discussing, because then that obviously was a big conversation that started, is that if I didn't feel as comfortable as I do, because I do know you, to come and go, is it just give us hand with this? You know what I mean? I don't mind paying for this, clearly, because this is your business. Then potentially I'd have gone somewhere else. I said, and then imagine if somebody else, if you'd seen me another 3 months later or something, and you'd said, what have you been doing? You go, oh, well, just to let you know, I actually did this, this, and this. You'd be sitting there now going, well, that's what I do. Well, why didn't you come to me? And I go, oh, well, I thought if you were too busy. Didn't know if that's what you did. So we've been talking about this recently. People love to buy. Do you know what I mean? If I was on stage now, everybody raise your hand if they like to buy, right? People do love to buy, but people don't like being sold at. So there's a whole that strategy going on. But I think this particular question is more to do with why can't I sell, my products? Why can't I sell my services? And I think that there's a couple of reasons. One, like you've just said, Maz. Oh, Dee's joined us. Hello, Dee. Long time no see. Lovely. Hopefully see you soon. That's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek because actually I'm sharing a room with Dee at the minute. So I saw her about 5 minutes ago.
I mean, she's not in the World War II library with you right now.
No, she's not in the library. She's not behind it. She's not behind the fireplace. So here's my thought on it. Here's my take on it. And that is that when it's something that's yours, then you're a little bit too close to it. So you might be able to recommend a friend, recommend somebody's service or product. But when it comes to yours, it's kind of like it's a piece of you. And so, of course, this goes back to one of the very first why questions that we were answering, which is, why do I have a fear of being rejected? I think is this whole thing of like, if somebody rejects your product, your service, or rejects your price, you kind of feel like, they just stabbed you in the heart, that they're rejecting you. And actually they're not. They're just saying, no, now's not the right time, or maybe it's not right for me, or maybe that price isn't the right price for me. Or potentially you haven't actually sold it very well because you've been so scared about selling, providing a service because, or selling in a way that someone's gone, oh, actually, I really need this stuff or this service or this product, because you've been holding back so much. You haven't actually given all the information which you would do for something else. So I think it's to do with us, almost feeling like we're selling a piece of ourselves, and like we're putting that up for auction. So in terms of that, Maz, does that feel right for you? Like, when you've been in places where you haven't been able to sell your service or your products, would that feel like a bit of you?
I think fear of rejection would definitely be part of it. And just, I mean, we've mentioned it a few times in different videos that we've done, because we've also mentioned, why do I always undervalue myself? And we talked about that as well. And when we undervalue ourselves, we're actually rejecting ourselves. Mm. And so I think this fear of rejection of others is just a mirror of the fact that we're rejecting ourselves. And actually that's where the work needs to happen. That's what I've been doing this weekend. It's about accepting all of me without judgment and with compassion, because there's no way, and I think this is another reason why it's difficult to put a price on things, because I can't compare myself to you, because I'm not you, I'm me. So if you're £50 and I'm £50, it's almost like there's a comparison there that we're the same. Well, we're not. We're different. So if you were 51 and I was £52, then it's like, but why am I £1 more? That's not fair, because even though we're different, that doesn't mean to say Do you know what I mean? It's something that's not, it's not comparable. It's not comparative. Comparable. You can't compare it. I don't know what the English word for that is. I do actually, but anyway. And so again, if I need to be able to compare what I do, to put a price on it, I need to be able to, you know, to categorize it somewhere. But that means then that I'm ignoring my own individuality. So again, for me, that's one of the areas that just makes it really confusing. How do I make a decision? Which number do I, you know, allocate to me? And then how do I justify that? Or will other people question it? And then the fear of rejection comes in. Yeah. But initially, if I really was completely honouring my own value, then nobody could afford me.
Well, yeah. Jill's saying, yes, I agree, Marion. I don't know if she agreed before you mentioned that last sentence. Or if she
no, I agree, Jill. Nobody could afford you either, darling. Priceless we are, all of us.
Priceless, this is it. So the question is, what do you do? The question is, what do you do? Because, you know, I appreciate what you're saying, but the reality of it is, you know, when you're, you know, selling a product and service, I mean, lovely Sammy Blindell's has got a great saying, you know, if people don't pay, they don't pay attention.
Yeah.
You know, we give, you know, things away for free. You know, we'll always give a place away free at the retreat. Oh, and as we said that, Miranda Christopher just arrived, and she was actually one of the winners of one of our free places at the retreat. And that is because we want to give back. You know, so we want to give back. So we know that we've got products and services. We always give back, you know, to one person for the retreat. That's our way of giving back. But usually, if people don't pay, they don't pay attention because they don't value what you've given them. Well, they do. They value it at free, just to me. Now, in Miranda's case, and I'm happy for Miranda to perhaps just tell us a little bit about what she's done since she came on the retreat. She was a real action taker, you know, so since the retreat, like, she's gone on and done amazing things. And of course, you know, that makes us feel brilliant, doesn't it, Maz? Because we're like, you know, even if there was one thing we said, one thing we did, someone we put her in contact with, put her in contact with herself, you know, after the retreat, it really just kind of like was the little, you know, putting the fire starter up her backside. Sorry, Miranda, to give such a lovely analogy. Very nice backside. You know, just kind of like help her to just get along, because of course, you know, we're looking to be helping, you know, 10 million disheartened people, and of course the opposite of being disheartened is being confident, you know, getting out there, taking action. And so yeah, Miranda's saying, yes, I did. Not quite sure which bit she's agreeing to, but there you go. So yeah, so it is about, you know, we do give back. Of course, we give back because we're able to, because other people, you know, pay, and we do charge for our products and our services. But how do you know what your value is? And this is what Jill's saying. You know, I give great value, but people always compare you to somebody who they think does the same as you. Well, this is it. So really great comment, Jill, because actually you have to make sure that when you are selling, when you are describing your service, that you have an element of uniqueness about it, so they can't get it anywhere else. You know, so it's your brand, it's your basically it is just what you are, and you are totally unique, and so you can't put a value on that as such. But I believe that also it's because you don't value that, you don't know what price to give, you know, to somebody, and if you don't know, I think that's when in your brain it kind of goes, oh shit, oh, are they going to think I'm too expensive? Oh, is this going to be too cheap? Oh, what do I do? And we recently put in the Live Love Laugh Lounge and the Man Cave a value exercise. So if you haven't watched the videos and you're a member of the Find Your Why Foundation, then please do the exercise. It's a really great place to start getting to know what your value is, because however much you put in is what you're going to get out. It's the same for you. If you don't invest in you, then why would anybody else invest in you, right? So Maz, you've just been to, you know, Glastonbury again. You know, you invested in a course to help you. Yes. You know, and that's what that's what personal development is all about. It is about developing self first, so that you know what your value is. And this exercise is amazing. You know, we've already given it to the members of the Find Your Why Foundation. It's available, you know, as part of the foundation. And you know, the foundation membership is just $9.99. For $9.99, you could access this value exercise. So yes, I am telling you now, there is a service out there, and it's for you if you want to find out what your value is. It's for you if you want to be part of a community. It's for you if you want to, you know, develop yourself even further. And quite frankly, it's not for you if you don't think that £9.99 isn't worth it, because what you're basically saying is you're not worth £9.99. So there you go, that's the value. But what the value exercise does is it allows you to move your value up, so that when someone says to you, how much do you charge, you can say it with conviction, with certainty, and with confidence, because you then know what your value is from doing this very simple but highly effective process.
And the value of that process is that it is an objective look at you and how you can discover the number that is associated with your work or the work of your services that you give. So it's like, you know, when I'm bartering and I say to the guy, so how much is it? It tells me. That's the beauty of this. It's a way of looking at how to create that figure from you that isn't about you trying to calculate it. It's actually a process that gives you the price. So it's almost like you can put the label on. And one of the things that I found really useful at the beginning was to, if there's a product or a service, I've got a web page or I've got a place where I show and sell, like my shop window for that particular product or service. And then once I've calculated what my value is, and I can put my value on there as the price, as the investment for that product to somebody else, then whenever I'm talking about my products or services, if I've got a web page and it's got the price on, I know what to say, and I know that I've calculated that price and it's fair for me and it's good value for other people. So I've got no qualms about suggesting that value. What happened to me recently was somebody asked me how much I would charge to do a piece of work that isn't a standard way of me offering my services. And I went straight back to bloody square number one on the board of the game of snakes and ladders of your pricing. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know. Because it wasn't something that I had the price for, and there wasn't, you know, it wasn't clear how many hours it was going to take, or it wasn't a clearly defined piece of work. So again, it took me straight back to the beginning of not knowing how to share what I do and to put an appropriate price on that. So looking at now I need to look more at the piece of work that they want, and then I can apply my value to that. And it'll be easy once I've done that, once I've got a clearer understanding of what I have to do in order to achieve the goal that we set. Then I can put a price on that quite easily because of this same exercise, this value exercise.
Yeah. I mean, at the moment, I have a stack that I really like. Now, if I'm going to buy some raw materials in, you know, if I'm going to have to bring somebody else in to help, you know, something like that, then that's different. But at this moment in time, that and it's a very simple process. You know, there are certain services that I can offer, and that's the rate. And even when we calculate the price for the retreat, we use exactly the same, formula. Because, you know, right at the very beginning, yes, of course, the great news is you can choose, you know, to give reductions if you want to. You can choose, you know, whatever. But as long as you know what your value is and you're not giving it away and chipping away at it every day, the truth of the matter is, if you don't make any money in business, you won't be in business. Mm-hmm. You know, you've got to have extremely deep pockets if you want to be the person who gives away things. You know, even charities, you know, do need money. So, you know, that's kind of where we are. Let's have a look at the lovely ladies that are joining us. So we've got Judith saying, I believe your business will only ever grow in direct correlation to your own personal growth. Yeah, really interesting fact. Miranda's saying, I agree, Judith. Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you don't invest in yourself, then who else is going to invest in you? And there's another thing, we were talking about this the other day, weren't we, Maz? You know, where somebody had said, I wanted to do this program. It was nothing to do with this, but I wanted to do this program, but I thought, oh God, that's expensive. And straight away, expensive. Yes, okay, there's the correlation of like what they're offering, but is it too expensive as in you don't think you're worth it? Because you won't invest in yourself, you know. So it's kind of investing in yourself, and it's also knowing if the value of what somebody else is asking is, is in keeping with what you believe that kind of service should be. But again, if they're doing it as an also-ran service, then you immediately go, well, I've got to compare it to this and this if I don't know. So you've got to make sure that, you know, whatever anybody else is selling to you has got a particular unique flavour to it as well, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, going back to what Jill was saying, Jill, nobody's Jill. There's only you. So the knowledge that you've got, you know, particularly in what you do, you know, all these years of being in nursing and, you know, and selling these products and coming from a place of true, you know, congruency and integrity, you know, compared to somebody who maybe is selling a product but doesn't have the knowledge. You've got to factor that knowledge in, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and all the knowledge and the training and the experience that we gain, we've paid for it. We've either paid it with money or we've paid in our time. And you can get money back, but you can't get your time back. So understanding the value of the time and the effort and the energy and the experience that you've taken the time to do for you, that you can now share with other people, that has a value. And that's one of the areas it's really difficult to calculate what that value is, because it's about you and your time. You're the only person who can actually do that.
Yeah. And I think that's why at the moment, I work on this hourly rate, because it's just easier for me, because it's just simple. I know what my hourly rate is. I've worked on that. I used to be on, I was going to say £6 an hour, but that seems to be the going rate at the minute, but before, I probably was on £6 an hour when I was 19 and I knew fuck all. But anyway, Jill, what's Jill saying? I heard recently that you can only really charge a high ticket price for your services if you have paid for somebody else's high ticket service. Do you agree? Do we agree?
I don't know if I agree 100%, but I totally agree with the concept of it's like monkey see, monkey do. We if we're not prepared to invest in ourselves, then why would we expect others to invest in us?
Yeah.
So it's a bit complicated, that question, but definitely from the perspective of law of attraction and the perspective of natural law and the way the energy moves, if you ain't prepared to give, then you won't receive. And if you're not prepared to receive, then you can't be given, because there's that, nature abhors a vacuum. Everything is in harmony, everything is in balance. So if you're expecting some big numbers to be coming in, then you need to know that you've been moving big numbers around, because it's that natural law. So I absolutely, in those esoteric, hippie, law of attraction sciences, which I believe are really true, then I completely agree with what you're saying. But I also do know that, there are really high ticket prices that people spend a fortune on. I mean, for me, the thing that always comes into my head is shoes and handbags. Shoes and handbags. It's just, people spend gazillions of pounds a year on shoes and handbags, and I don't. And my shoes are always all right, I think. My handbags are all right, I think. They're all second-hand, my handbags. I don't think I bought a new handbag for years.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and the thing is, it depends whether or not you're talking about materialistic things. Do you know what I mean? I like a nice pair of shoes. I know so does Jill. Do you know what I mean? We have a particular, I wouldn't say fetish for shoes. Got to be mindful of saying that when the shoe rapist was actually living in my street. Anyway, that's a different story. I actually agree with this, Jill. I think that you really can only charge if you've done it yourself. Look, at the end of the day, if you think about how much money you've invested, Marion, over the years in your personal development, in terms of yoga, going to India, living in India for 6 months, learning from, real yogis, not plastic yogi, shite off the internet. Do you know what I mean? Who think it's all about being bendy. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, you get what you pay for. Do you know what I mean? And I genuinely believe that. It's probably believed, handed down from generations. In order to be...
in India, it wasn't an expensive course. It was because I was actually in India for 2 years doing the training. It was the initial course was a 7-month course I did initially, but it took me a while to do it because I ended up working in the office for them. So I paid for the course in full. It wasn't expensive, but to actually take 2 years out of your life to do that. That's what I'm saying about my time is valuable, it's more valuable than money is. And if I can put a number onto my time, if I can put a value onto my time, I can start to see how much time is costing me. And that's that value exercise that you were talking about before, Cheryl. That's what that really helps you to do. It helps you to see how much your time is worth.
Yeah. And if you can start with your time. But, look, over the past, even if I take in the last year, so between June now and going back to last year's June, 2017 to June 2018, I've invested thousands of pounds in my development. Thousands of pounds. That's in my personal development. And so, in this principle, we both could charge thousands and thousands of pounds for what we offer. We don't charge thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, but we do charge thousands of pounds. To come on a retreat, the value of the retreat is £5,000. And so, you know, I can say that without any qualms because we also know what the results are. So I think the dilemma sometimes comes when you're first starting out and you think you know what you have is going to work. You've got the faith in it, but of course you've never charged for it. Well, you know, you can then, you know, obviously reduce the price down, you know, get testimonials in exchange for reducing the price, you know, and then ask people, you know, what would you have paid for this service? What would you have paid for this product?
Or a better question is, what's the value of this for you now? Because
exactly.
when you've had, when the outcomes that you gain out of something change your life for the better, how can you, to put a price on that is pretty difficult. But you know it's a huge value to you, you know, to get you out of get you out of depression, or get you out of anxiety, or get you out of feeling stuck, or get you out of feeling lost. What is the value for that for you? You know, if you were to feel whatever the opposite of lost is for you, or whatever the opposite of anxious is for you, if you were to be able to feel that more frequently and more easily, what value is that for you? Because I think that's where, again, it starts to get really difficult, because you can't put a price on it. But to stay where you are and to stay going down, usually because people are going in a downward spiral, to keep going down with that spiral, what is the cost? That cost is your life, effectively. Again, priceless, you know. So these ideas, because they are just ideas, they're difficult to put a value on. And that's why we need these tools that give us a number, that use the numbers that are around us at the moment, so that we do, because we do, I mean, if you're going to value something, you do have to compare it. There's no way of getting away from it. You do have to compare it in order to put a price on it. And so the way to compare it is to use a tool that makes it easy, that makes it objective. And it takes we were saying before about the being worried about the people thinking it's expensive. It takes that worry away, because you go, well, no, I know it's not expensive, because I've actually calculated it using this method, and it's a method that I trust. It's a method I choose to believe in, and I trust it, and so it's not expensive. I know it's good value for money. If you want it or not, that's your choice. But accepting the label of expensive, you don't need to.
Well, also your clients can do that. So this is what I'm saying. You know, if you haven't actually got any paying clients at the moment, it's something new that you've created. You can develop the service. You can don't give it them free. You know, give it them at a reduced price, or maybe, you know, an exchange. So, you know, they do something for you, you do something for them, and then you can ask that question. And even though I know it's difficult, you know, you could say, well, what value would you put on this? I mean, is it 5 pence? Is it £5? You know, and people will have a response to what you're saying to them anyway. So I think that gives you a really good starting point. You know, and if you've got 2 or 3 clients, then of course you can take that, you know, like as an average. So let's just have a quick see what all the other lovely ladies are saying. So, and of course you can get your clients to tell you, you know, retrospectively how that's helped. So this is quite cool, because Judith's just saying, so clearly you guys have really helped me as my business last year grew by 52%. Perfect. Thank you very much, Judith. You know, now we could now go to Judith and say, okay, so what does that mean in pounds, shillings and pence? You know, and so that then puts a value around it as well, doesn't it? What else? Judith said, if you compete on price, there's nowhere left to go. That's why, yeah. Jill's joining in. Yay, shoes. Oh, I mean, coaching. Yeah, cool. So, yeah, Miranda's saying, you know, that's priceless, isn't it? Look, Jill, if you do think about what you do, you know, getting people into shape, you know, for someone to get from, you know, size 16 to a size 10, you know, whatever it is for them that is tangible, you know, what would they pay to do that? Well, you could maybe start with working out how much they've paid so far in slimming clubs, you know, fancy food, you know, whatever that is. So there we go. Hi, Mark. Long time no see. I'm taking a Mickey.
Why isn't Mark saying hi to me? Mark, what's wrong with you?
Because he's been with me all day. That's why.
I don't care. That's not fair, Mark. I want a big love heart.
And now Jill's saying hello, Mark, as well.
Oh,
so look, Mark's a classic example of somebody who's been through pain. So Mark was told that he, had probably less than 6 months to live when he was given cancer. He's now invested in himself to live, right? Invested in himself to live, and now he's helping other people to be able to live their life to the full as well. What fucking price can you put on that? Seriously, you know, when someone's been through that. Oh, go on then. He's such a creep. Look, love you too, Marion. She's all right now. She's smiling with that. So again, you know, what life experiences you have. There is a way of putting a monetary value to this. But the other thing, of course, is that You've got to really believe it. You've got to believe in your product and service, and other people. You have to show evidence that other people have used it. So maybe you can give this away at a reduced price in exchange for a testimonial. That's the place to start, I reckon. So what's Jill saying here? So how much time would it have taken you to realise or change whatever if you haven't decided to work with me? Yes, come on this retreat, etc. Yeah, and again, but don't be afraid to ask for tangible figures. Even if at this stage, is it £50? Is it £100? Is it £1,000? And you can go, is it £10,000? And they might go, is it £1,000? They go, oh, no, it's worth more than that. Is it 10,000? Oh, probably not 10,000. 5? You've got like a pretty good starting point, because it's compared to what? The price of fish? The price of gold? A pencil? Because people will actually want to have something to look at it and go, well, compared to this, it's cheap. Compared to that, it's expensive. So you've got to give people things to, as I say, because they will compare, won't they, Maz? Yeah. They will compare. Okay, what we've got, Miranda. I worked with a mentor once who used a technique to get the client to price a service. Oh, yes, I've heard of this. He knew instantly that they would invest in themselves. Great technique. Yeah, brilliant, Miranda. What did we see? We saw something, I think it was on a yogi channel, wasn't it, once? And they actually said how much you can pay whatever you want to pay for this. And there's a little technique there, because most people will go for the middle price. I mean, some people will always go for the cheapest price, of course, and some people will always go for the most expensive. But I think at least 50% of people go for the middle price. So if you give them 3 prices to choose from, that's, of course, not allowing them to give whatever they want to do. But yeah. What's your thoughts on that, Maz? Open pricing?
Yeah, I think it's good to give people a choice, because you can see what the perception is of other people of what price category is reasonable. But again, it totally comes back to what is it that you're offering, and what is the benefit that people get from what you're doing. Because if what the benefits are is way above the average, then the reasonable average price is too low. So again, it's a good way to capture what the image of that price bracket might be, but adding into that, what is your unique selling point, or what is your unique thing that you provide? What is it that happens as a benefit to all of your clients, and how that benefit is going to change? And that needs to be added into the equation as well.
Yeah. Well, one thing which we haven't done before, and that is when people have come to the retreat, we've never actually said, how much do you think this retreat is, in terms of monetary value. So I'm going to ask, because we've got 3 ladies on the call that have been at the retreat. So I'm just going to ask you ladies, just, be really honest and frank with us, and tell us what you think that time that you spent with us at the retreat was in terms of a monetary value. Happy for you to put that in the chat box right now. That would be lovely as a little request. Might as well practice what we preach there. Judith is saying, oh, what about the rest of us, Mark? Mark's in demand, isn't he? Oh, look. Good night, ladies.
Can't handle the pressure.
Yeah, we've gone under the pressure. So let me just see if we've got anybody else joining us and giving us some comments here. Yeah, so I think really, to round it up, if the ladies want to put a price in there, if they're still listening, if they're still on the call, this would be great, even now or when you're watching on Rewind. Anybody who's been on a retreat with us, by all means, tell us what you think the value of that retreat was in a monetary value. Was it 2,000? Was it 5,000? Was it 10,000? Was it £2.50? Whatever it was, then please tell us. And I think the biggest bit of advice is, one, you've got to genuinely believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, then of course you can come and do some work with us on our retreat, because we'll help you to realise how freaking awesome you are. You've got to believe in your product and service. And so in order to be able to do that, you've got to have some evidence that it works. And, and when you've been with your first client, you've sold your first product, you've seen what that first product can do, then of course that gives you, that confidence, doesn't it, to move forward. So of course we might say, by all means, please, go out there, give the product in return for something else, reduce the price in exchange for a testimonial or whatever it might be. Anything else to add in, Maz, before we love you and leave you, lovely ladies and gentlemen?
No, I don't think so. I think it's that there's so much to say about this. It'll just start another big debate.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it will come up in the next few questions.
Yes.
So just learning how to love yourself, and really, because that's where the value comes.
Yes.
Everything is love.
Yay. So if you're watching this as a recording and you've been on one of our our services due to me, then please, we invite you. Tell us what you tell us in the chat box what you did with us and what value you thought that was worth. That doesn't necessarily have to be what you pay, just what you genuinely thought the value was. That would be absolutely fabulous. And please like and share. And we will be back for another wise question. I'm going to let Miranda say, comparable to a luxury holiday in the Caribbean back in the days when I drove a 911. Fabulous.
Very confusing little quote there from Miranda.
Yeah. So until tomorrow, when we have another wise question, we invite you to live, love, laugh every day. And of course, we really have this lovely saying, yes, in the house, in the house. That's a bit of a weird looking hat, isn't it? And of course, we do always say that you don't have to figure it out on your own, and you don't
have to do it alone.
So until tomorrow, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you soon. Take care, ladies. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.